Imagine you have established a business, and after you die, the business begins to collapse and workers start losing their jobs. Well, this school was established in 1978 by the late Joseph Kojo Amponsa. Many years after the establishment, the school was one of the best in the Ashanti region. But today, this is the state of the school.
Komfo-Anokye Junior High School gained fame across the length and breadth of Ashanti region in the 80s and 90s as a basic level institution. Not only did the name after the Ashanti legendary priest evoke awe, but its students put up excellent performance in both academic and extracurricular activities. The proprietor had intended to upgrade the school to second cycle with good quality teachers and other staff. Michael Sechidua had for 21 years been teaching science and mathematics in this school.
When I see the sort of the students I taught, where God has placed them, so many are medical doctors. And you know, when I came, I was teaching maths, I was teaching science. Of course, maths is my best science. And you know, it's through those areas that those students go and then do medicine.
Students who attended Komfo-Anokye Junior High School were respected and held in high esteem among their peers. Havis is a former student, now so manager at Data Bank.
If you attend Komfo-Anokye back then, that means we call it DB. That means you are you are from a rich home, even though it's not meant for just the rich. But it has gotten that standard where the moment you attend Komfo-Anokye, people give you that kind of respect and pedigree that, you are from a very good home. And back during our days, the school was very, very well structured, way down from the nursery to the JHS level. At a point in time, we even heard that, they were trying to establish the second.
Interesting moments. I remember one Saturday we came for Saturday classes, and the director, God bless his soul, Mr. J. Kamponsan, he met me just at the school park here. I was speaking vernacular. And he said, "Hey, you're speaking Chi. Come on, kneel down." And I knelt down the whole day until classes were over before he came to say, "Get up." Seriously, I was also embarrassed because I am one person who is very calm. Most of the students even didn't know me. So me being at the pitch there and then people going by and ask, "Hey, why? I felt so embarrassed.
Late Joseph Kojo Amponsa was said to have built the school around himself and gave off all his best to make it the finest in the region. Here is his third son, Bernard Amponsa.
Has been managing both finances and everything.
Things were smooth and positive. Many people got employment to earn decent living. Students had good grades to qualify for secondary education elsewhere. In 2011, however, the most difficult and unpleasant news hit the institution. The owner passed on. Teachers and students were thrown into spontaneous wailing on the fateful day over the loss of a man they describe as visionary. Months after Mr. Amponsa's death, things began falling apart. Today, the school struggles to stand on its feet, let alone maintain its glory. Nobody knows what to do to keep the school running and save employees from potential layoff.
About this school. What really happened after the demise of your father?
When he left, it was very tedious to get somebody who could really do the same thing that he was really doing, because he knew the networks that he had built. So the transition was really difficult. So we decided to establish a board, and then they were in charge. And then the family members were asked to stay aside, hoping that when there's a dividend, then they will share. So everything was in the hands of the board. And this is how far they've been able to bring the school.
What has brought about this situation is because when the man died, those who he left behind were not all that united.
Salaries for teachers delayed for months as the student population dropped at a fast rate.
And now what is making things more difficult is the I would say that the cost that we have incurred, I would say that we've come to inherit huge sums of debt. And with this small number, trying to defray that debt is also becoming a more challenge.
The school is said to owe the Electricity Company of Ghana over 40,000 cedis in tariffs, among other accumulating debts. David Frimpong Manson is current headmaster who took over about 6 months ago.
The stakeholders were not able to pay the teachers' salary. There were some arrears for about 3 months. Arrears they haven't paid. 3 months arrears they haven't paid. And moreover, the social security tier 1 and tier 2 also they were not able to pay. On the electricity bill, and so they were not able to pay. They had about 480 million to be paid to the electricity. So we couldn't have light always. There was a problem to the borders. So the borders were not interested to be in this particular school. And since the teachers were not able to pay regularly, some of them left. Even when I came here, about 4 teachers are resigning the appointment.
These classrooms have been abandoned because there are no students to occupy them. So what could have caused the near collapse of once a toast of private basic school in Kumasi? Professor Sasha Baker, Professor Hans of Universities of Warwick in the United Kingdom and Bergen in Norway respectively conducted studies into firms after the death of owners. They concluded survival rates of such businesses 2 years after the demise of founders is 20%. They attributed businesses that experienced a dip in performance after death of owners to what they termed upheaval. Surprisingly, the findings state most firms show no sign of recovering and the negative effect on performance continues. Right Reverend Professor Osei Safo Kantanka is head of Movement for Education of Poverty in Africa through the church.
So sometimes one of the main reasons why people begin enterprises and when they die they drop off is that they will not have involved their children in the running of these facilities. Many typical Ghanaians and Africans think that the best he can give to their children is for them to rise very high in some kind of government employment and not in the kind of work they are involved in. So they want them to go to the university. When they finish the university, they want them to go higher and get employed somewhere in the government. But because of that, and they want to have the money for them to move on, and because of that, they don't seriously involve them in whatever they may be doing, whether it is farming, whether it's running a factory, or running whatever it is. And so when they pass on, then the children have not much knowledge. And someone has said, you don't pass on wealth until you have passed on wisdom.
He says entrepreneurs should begin to look for new ways of making their businesses survive beyond them.
I think everybody who begins something must have this future perspective, knowing that you will not be there forever. So how do I plan things in such a way that what I have started will continue? If we lose that perspective, most of what we begin will always collapse when we die.
Reverend Professor Safo Kantanka cites Lebanese as one group of people whose businesses survive even after the death of their owners.
And it's clear that the Lebanese, when they come, the people are all there and they are working. And you may have an old person who will have been there long ago, and yet he's able to sit back and watch the children take over. Sometimes they will make all kinds of mistakes, but it is true that they learn. And again, another factor which is important is that when you bring your children on board, they must also have the humility to learn from the people with whom you have toiled all along. Sometimes your children may have gone to university and so on. You have established something, you have worked with some people, they understand the workings. When your children come in, they think that this is ours, this is for my father, and there's no respect that is given to those who have stayed on for quite a long time. When you operate that way, they come, and whatever experiences that they have, they hide it from the children, your own children who are coming in to take over. So it's a whole idea of respecting that they have also made a contribution, a whole involving your children, even if they will come in later, they must also have, as I said, the humility to learn from those that you work with. I've seen some situations where the children have come in and they have caused almost everybody to be sacked. And now they themselves don't seem to really have the experience and the guts to let the factory or the industry continue as it was during their father's time.
Whether or not Okomfo-Anokye Junior High School will return to its former self is something we can only wait and see.